Control, they do. So there are probably going to be other cases coming forward where, yeah, both sides may try to expand the reach of this ruling.
And Katie, without a doubt, we can all agree that this is going to shape the run-up to the November elections.
Well, this is what Democrats love to do. They love to use a false issue, which is a bogus war on women, to push false narratives. So yesterday we saw the White House, we saw Sandra Fluck, who of course is famous for taking off this debate, saying that now employers can take away women's right to contraception. That is absolutely absurd and completely false. Hobby Lobby offers 16 different forms of contraception to their employees through their health care plans. They've done it for a very long time. They're going to continue to do it. We're talking about them limiting 4 of them, which, as Kimberly pointed out, some can argue is not really contraception. They believe that it's abortion, which is a valid point. On the second point of them claiming this is a war on women as if they have a monopoly, the Beckett Fund, which represented Hobby Lobby in front of the Supreme Court, Women Council, all of them, female attorneys, businesswomen fought for this Hobby Lobby case, issuing briefs to the Supreme Court. This is about women running nonprofits. So this idea that somehow this is a war on women is not true, and you have people going as far as the White House saying this is about a boss taking away contraception, when it is exactly the opposite, completely opposite, and they're lying about it to get votes.
Well, Jesse, I want to get your take on this. We've got fresh reaction from Hillary Clinton on the Hobby Lobby ruling. Listen.
We're always going to argue about abortion. It's a hard choice, and it's controversial. And that's why I'm pro-choice, because I want people to be able to make their own choices. And it is... It's very troubling that a sales clerk at Hobby Lobby who needs contraception, which is pretty expensive, is not going to get that service through her employer's health care plan because her employer doesn't think she should be using contraception.
It's a lie.
Well, that's just not true, right, Jesse? I mean, the Hobby Lobby is going to continue to provide 16 forms of contraceptive to their
and it's about $9 a month, I think, at CVS. She's acting like Hobby Lobby all of a sudden is telling these women that work for them to wear a burqa or something like that. You know, it's like if someone said, you know, my boss isn't buying me a gun, he's denying me my Second Amendment rights. It doesn't make sense. Having access to contraception is not in the Constitution. She's dead wrong about that. And Hillary Clinton, I'm not surprised. This is her bread and butter. This is how she's going to try to win the White House. This is what she's going to go to. She needs the single ladies vote. I call them the Beyonce voters, the single ladies. Obama won single ladies by 76% last time, and they made up about a quarter of the electorate.
Yep, it's true.
You know, they depend on government because they're not depending on their husbands. They need things like contraception, health care, and they love to talk about equal pay.
Here, go ahead.
That's something that really struck me, though, and you guys saw us off camera, me react to this. I could almost hear the PR person for the book sale say, Hillary, work in the book title. You got to get in hard choices there. We started, though, with the key issue in all of this, and Democrats cannot run away from this. Critics, period, cannot run away. And that is the fact that what we're left with are like a Part B or an Ella. These are post-conception drugs that people have a religious exception to. They're post what they see existing life drugs. That means to them it's taking a life. And so you can still get your hands on those drugs, but somebody else is going to have to pay for them. Now the big question is, who will that somebody else have to be? Because you could argue all across America, if you're the taxpayer, maybe it offends your religious sensibilities as well. So can you just pass on the cost now through this Obamacare mandate to the taxpayers? That's one thing. The other has to be, what are we doing right now? We're talking about something in Obamacare that doesn't work for millions of people. They've got to change the topic.
That's right. And the Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell actually used this Hobby Lobby ruling to call Obamacare the single worst piece of legislation to pass in the past 50 years. So it seems, Katie, that both sides are really going to use this heading into the midterms, but whose strategy is going to win?
I think it depends on how Republicans handle the war on women rhetoric. We saw in 2012 that Republicans did not handle that well because they ran from it instead of addressing it head on. They're going to have to address it just like Carly Fiorina is trying to do, and they're going to have to say exactly kind of the things that I lined up. You know, this is not about a war on women. There are lots of women who actually support the Hobby Lobby case, and so you have to just debunk that narrative right away, immediately, and move on to other issues like the economy and how Obamacare has actually increased the premiums of young women by 100%, even though it was supposed to decrease their premiums.
But I argue that Republicans can run on this. Not Democrats say they can, but so can Republicans.
I think
They
if you're
can,
the
yeah.
Republican, the way you want to frame this issue as Obamacare is a debacle, this is an unintended consequence, and it's illegal in the Supreme Court. Number two, this is strangling small business owners. You're basically forcing these people to pay for the sex lives of their employees. And it's an attack on religion. It's an attack on Catholics especially. But if I was a Republican strategist, I wouldn't want to talk about abortion or contraception
I don't even
at
think
all.
you have to talk
I remember
about that.
they wasted the entire spring talking about Sandra Fluck and birth control when they should have been talking about the economy.
Yeah,
and
they
the
don't even.
scandals
Yeah, they don't
and
even need to
immigration.
engage in it in a certain sense because
Yeah.
let the Democrats go ahead and put up this false rhetoric, this false narrative, trying to scare and panic people with facts that simply aren't there. I mean, they're flat out inaccurate, erroneous. Throw a flag on the play. Bye. I look at the numbers like the economy, at jobs, at people, whether or not this economy is going in the right direction, and making those kind of choices. Somebody should be put in that actually has a firm grasp on how to make money and how Americans
But
can do it
even
too.
with this issue, you could run on it with it's a freedom of conscience. It's a freedom of expression issue. And you win on all accounts with that because it's not just about religion.
Right.
Well, speaking of jobs, Kimberly,
Yes.
do you ever feel like you're in the wrong job? Like you just don't want to be there? You don't belong?